let's do a little background here and let's talk about Half-Life 1 and 2. Now, Half-Life 2 was released in 2004. This is a game that's been a franchise. People consider this one of the best games ever made. Um, uh, John, do you have any a background with Half-Life?
I never played Half-Life 1, but I got
Mm-hmm.
2 when it came out, and it was amazing. Like, because it used the source engine, the physics were like, it was so fun just toying around with the way objects behave physically. It was
Yes.
just so innovative for the time. Like, I was just mesmerized by that.
Yeah. As you can see, Half-Life 2 was released on Steam November 16th, 2004. It won 39 Game of the Year awards. And like its predecessor, has been cited as one of the most influential first-person shooter games and among the best games ever made. It was ported to the Xbox, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, pretty much everywhere. By 2011, it sold 12 million copies. Half-Life 2 was followed by a free extra level, Lost Coast, 2005, and an episodic sequels, Episode 1 and Episode 2 in 2006, 2007. All were compiled together and made playable from the base game as of 2024, November 2024. In 2020, after canceling Episode 3 and several further Half-Life projects, Valve released a prequel, which was Half-Life Alyx. That was released. And what's interesting about this is that this has been an ongoing thing in the gaming space for really as long as I've been in it, is, Half-Life 3, it's never going to be released. It's never going to come out. Half-Life 3, it's never going to be a thing. Riley, did you ever play Half-Life at all?
I think I played the first one when it had the orange box. I think it was the first one it came out on. And I remember playing it, and then there were so many other games that I had like on my plate at the time that I just eventually went on the back burner. So, yeah.
Right. Well, there's been a lot of anticipation about Half-Life 3. And on New Year's Eve, the voice actor for G-Man came in and dropped this video over on X.
Another year already. Good to see and hear from so many of you. May the next quarter century deliver as many unexpected surprises as did the millenniums first. And again, time is fluid, like music. See you in the new year.
So, interesting to say the least. That got a lot of people very, very excited. It has over 1 million views over on X, over on PC Gamer. It talks about, we have an article up here, G-Man's voice actor rings in the new year by dropping cryptic tweet grenade, promising unexpected surprises into the starving Half-Life 3 fan base. Okay, so the last game was 2 decades ago. We've seen games that have had long development times. But generally in games that have a long development time, there's some sort of roadmap or some sort of, they keep you updated when it comes to the development of these games. Number one, we don't even know if this thing exists, Half-Life 3. It has not been announced officially. Nothing about this is official. This is just the voice actor dropping this. But it is extremely, extremely cryptic. And it's done exactly what its job was to get people talking about the idea of a third Half-Life. The game with the longest development cycle that I think people never thought would come out was probably Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
Which was a decade, right? Which I remember I think that was released in 2013 as well or so, maybe 2012, 2014. But Duke Nukem Forever, that had a 10-year development cycle. And when it came out, it definitely felt like a game that was meant to be released 10 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing when it comes to Half-Life 3 is that whether or not they plan for it to come out, it probably shouldn't come out. Because what you've done is you have 20 years of expectations that are there that will never, ever be met by the audience. You can make the best game ever, literally the best game ever, and it still won't be good enough because you've had 2 decades of expectations built up to this. Blabs, do you have any thoughts on that? The idea of expectations not being met?
Yes, I actually agree with your sentiments about the whole waiting
Oh,
2 decades and all
I
that.
mean, a little too much information there, Blabs. No.
What? Anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, I agree with you. Like a lot of games that come out after like 2 decades are just shit, or like you've been really, really high hopes for this one game and you come out and you get it and it's like, well, that's trash, isn't it? It wasn't what I wanted. But it's not always the case for everything. There are exceptions. I will say that. So, but for the most part, I feel like too late. Especially like I don't like games in this since like 2020 era. I'm not about the games. There's always going to be some sort of agenda that has to be thrown in there just for sake of corporate stuff that I'm like, I'm good. I'd rather go play the old stuff that has just fun. That's it. It's just fun. So yeah.
Well, I mean, this could be a massive, callback to the bygone era. Maybe just with new graphics and such. I don't know, John. What are your thoughts on the idea of Half-Life 3 potentially being existed or announced in 2025? Certainly wouldn't be released, right?
I don't think people should ever say never. Like Half-Life 3 could always and come out whenever. And I actually have a lot more faith in Valve than Gearbox in regard to Duke Nukem Forever, in them delivering a product with Half-Life 3 that manages to innovate and be to generate hype despite the fact that it's been taken so long. And I'm not a fan of the fallacy of like Duke Nukem took 10 years to release, so it's like this is going to be the best game ever because they spent 10 years on it. It's like they didn't spend 10 years developing the game. It sat in development hell for 10 years, and then eventually it got dusted off, what was left of it from 10 years ago, and it was just like they built what they could onto it and then released that, and it was obviously underwhelming. I wasn't impressed with it at all. I played a little bit of it and I was just like, this fucking sucks. I'd rather play or OG Duke Nukem than this, like 100-fold. Right. So I think Valve, if they put it out, I think it will be. I think they know how to innovate and surprise and please people, and I hope they do put it out. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, the game's fan subreddit is already in conspiracy. This is courtesy of PC Gamer once again. One particular post notes that the Windows feature in the best long dog cover art. By the way, that's what's being referenced in the as you see the movement here. People have pointed out that's what this is here. It's from from this thing called best long dog. That's best long dog.
Yeah,
Blabs.
I keep hearing something else. So I was like, what?
Says one particular post notes that the window featured in the best long dog cover art has a trio of numbers, 197, the only stable isotope for gold. In other words, the only version of gold without a half-life. The actual video, a link to the video, a sleuth, this good person points out, is also 197 seconds exactly, 197 days is also the length between Best Long Dog's release on YouTube and Shapiro's last song. Like this is crazy.
Wow. Talk about conspiracy right there.
But isn't that also what makes video games so much fun? Like that people are so passionate that they're like, well, if you do this and you look at this corner, and oftentimes, like, I don't know, maybe 60% of the time, they're right with this stuff. That's the beauty of all this. I love it.
You got to wonder if it's a smart marketing tactic. Like they do plan to make an actual Half-Life 3, and maybe there is a story to tell that they never actually made a game for. And now they're just cutting there going like, maybe if we do get this thing made, why don't we start giving some like little teasers and stuff like that to get people hyped up about it, to get people talking about it again. Maybe they'll release the first 2 games again on modern consoles or like remastered so that they can prep you for Half-Life 3, kind of thing. You never know. You never know. I mean, how many things that they can make a comeback for? I mean, you never thought that Sean Connery would do Never Say Never Again, and he came back to do James Bond One More Time, or X-Men 97 being how many years later continuation, or whatever they do. Does it work for the current, for people who want to play the game now? And that's how you can get people hyped to however they can do it. So
I
Who
think
knows?
that kind of subversive marketing can be extremely effective, much more
Yeah.
so than simply announcing this game is coming out on this day. Everybody get excited. Like if Halo 2, for example, had the alternate reality game I Love Bees. It was like this website, is this mysterious website with this cryptic messages and stuff. And it was a little game that people would log on. They'd be like, what is this? We know it's Bungie affiliated. We know it's something to do with Halo, but it's so vague. It's not explicitly Halo. And people were toying with it. And that itself generated hype, and that just added to the sheer success of that game. So
You get people talking about it, man. It's great.
Regarding the video that was put out by the voice actor, not only is beyond it just being the voice actor for the game, it's clear to me that he is doing specifically the G-Man voice with his mannerisms and everything. So
definitely,
it does seem to be like a Half-Life thing.
Well, I mean, if it comes out, that is the sign of the apocalypse, because I don't think anybody ever saw Half-Life 3 even being announced. But the idea of it being released on the, you're moving into a new year, you got the actual voice actor. Maybe it's just a big troll by the voice actor. Like maybe that's what it is. He's just getting people excited and he's just getting people talking. I think that'd be really funny. But I guess we'll find out here in the next couple weeks, couple months, couple years, maybe next 2 decades. We'll see. At what point is too long for a game's release? For a
40
cycle?
years.
As
John,
long
what
as it's
about you?
good when it comes out, man, I really don't care, to be honest. If
Okay.
if Duke Nukem Forever was actually good, I'd be like, cool, a good game, thanks. But it wasn't good.
We're getting like sequels now to games that like you never thought they would make a sequel for. Mind you that they're not made by the same people, but you got like Streets of Rage 4, or Double Dragon, another Double Dragon game, or that new Ninja Gaiden game that's coming out, which is a whole nother talk for me, because I had an idea for a Ninja Gaiden game about like 6 years ago, and it's just been on the back burner, like in development hell. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like you can imagine these games getting sequels years later, and they come out with something later, and it's great and it's awesome, and then you get stuff like Duke Nukem Forever. So